Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nila Madhav Radha Nila Madhav Radhe. Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jaya Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Nitai Chaitanya Chanda Nitai Gaura Chandra Gaura Hari. Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha, Prahlad Nrsimha, Prahlad Nrsimha, Jaya Prahlad Nrsimha. Jaya Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva, Panchatattva, Jaya Panchatattva. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya, Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya, Jaya Gurudev. Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Ashto Tarasata Shri Sriman Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम मुकुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गौरांग की जय. वृंदावन धाम की जय. मायापुर धाम की जय. नीलमाधव धाम की जय. नीलमाधव बृहद मृदंग हरिनाम Sankirtan Krishna's marathon की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All assembled devotees. Agra Ashishi Guru and Goranga.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Oh, okay. All right. Are you going to be speaking on 27 and 28? Half 27 purport?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wonderful. No, it's great. It's beautiful. That's what Srinivasacharya Prabhu said. Thank you very much.
You got it. Prema Amritam Bonidi. Dira Dira Jana Priyo Priyakaro. Nirmatsa Pujito. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Radha Madhava Astasaki Kiza. Narayanam Namaskrityam. Narayanam Namaskritam. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam. Tato Jaya Mudiraya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:15-28. Sutta Uvacha. Evam Chinta Yato Jeshnoch. Krishna Pada Saroruham. Sauharden Ati Gadena. Shanta Sid Vimala Matahi. Bolie. Sutta Uvacha. Evam Chintayato Jishno. Krishna Pada Saroruham. Saurhardena Digadena. Shanta Sid Vimala Matae. Sutta Uvacha. Evam Chintayato Jishno. Krishna Pada Saroruham. Saurhardena Tigadena. Shanta Sid Vimala Matae. Sutta Uvacha. Evam Chintayato Vishno. Krishna Pada Sararuham. Saurhardena Tigadena. Shanta Sid Vimala Mate. Sutta Uvacha. Sutta Goswami has said, Evam, thus, Chintayataha, while thinking of the instructions, Jishnaho, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna Pada, the feet of Krishna, Saroruham, resembling lotuses, Saurhardena, by deep friendship, Ati Gadhena, in great intimacy, Shanta, pacified, Asit, it so became, Vimala, without any tinge of material contamination. Matahi, mind. Okay. Evam Chintayato Jishno, Krishna Pada Saroruham, Sauharden Atigahadena, Shanti Seed Vimali Matahi. Sutta Goswami said, thus, being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in the great intimacy of friendship, and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. So he's doing two things. He's remembering the instructions and he's thinking of his feet. Please repeat. Sutta Goswami said, thus being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in the great intimacy of friendship, and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. Purport by Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, written in India and then edited in the United States of America. Since the Lord is absolute, deep meditation upon Him is as good as yogic trance. The Lord is non-different from His name, form, quality, pastimes, entourage, and specific actions. Arjuna began to think of the Lord's instructions to him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Only those instructions began to eliminate the tinges of material contamination in the mind of Arjuna. The Lord is like the sun. The sun's appearance means immediate dissipation of darkness. Yeah? Sun's appearance means immediate dissipation of darkness or ignorance. And the Lord's appearance within the mind of a devotee can at once drive away the miserable material effects. Lord Chaitanya has therefore recommended constant chanting of the name of the Lord for protection from contamination of the material world. The feeling of separation from the Lord is undoubtedly painful to the devotee, but because it is in connection with the Lord, it has a specific transcendental effect which pacifies the heart. Feelings of separation are also the source of transcendental bliss, and they are never comparable to contaminated material feelings in separation. So, koi, that means any. Koi prashna hai, Hanji. Here's you're supposed to be able to catch it, you know. Wham, wham. That'll impress the yogis, right? You know, transcendental meditation guys will be impressed. You throw the microphone. Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Okay, so in the past seminar by His Holiness Romapad Maharaj, he was talking about Nara Narayan and the identity of Krishna and Arjuna.
Yeah.
And so he was stating Nara Narayan is the Lord, but in the singular, but he seemingly has two forms.
Okay.
And then that these two are identical to Krishna and Arjuna. Is that correct?
Boy.
So then ultimately my question is,
Yeah, okay.
does that mean that Arjuna and Krishna are non-different also? Because it's Nara and Narayan.
Yeah. I've heard different descriptions, you know, from different people, different Prabhupada's quotations. For example, huh? Oh, okay. I mean, I used to stuff. I'm going to do something. Okay, yeah. All right. Try and put on the garland or something. Okay, yeah. For example, I grew up in California, so we had California State Civics class, and they taught us how the government works. Probably when you went to school, where did you go to school? Huh? And they taught you how Texas runs, how the federal government runs. Okay. Now they're trying to teach us how the universe runs and the government runs. Okay. Yeah. For example, in California, there's the state government, right? And California is divided into something like 25 counties, right? The word county, of course, has to do with the word count. Duke, Earl, Baron, Count. So guess who was in charge of a county? Yeah. Okay. Now one of those is San Francisco County, right? Yeah. But in this case, the city of San Francisco is identical with the county. In Sacramento County, there's the city of Sacramento, which is not identical with Sacramento County. There's also Merced, Modesto, Roseburg, all this kind of stuff, yeah? But so when you're electing the mayor and board of supervisors for the city of San Francisco, you're also electing the director and the supervisors for the county. in San Francisco. So, Narayan, Rishi. Yeah. As far as I understand, basic principle is that Narayan is Vishnu Tattva, God, everything else. And Nara is Jiva Tattva. Yeah. Narada Muni is almost always, he's traveling with one companion. You know the name of that Muni? Huh? Parvat Muni. Okay. And so in Chaitanya Lila, Narada Muni is Srivas Thakur. And I think Parvat Muni shows up as his brother-in-law. Like that. Yeah, so you can see that, but sometimes you get two people incarnating in the same person, which is not a problem. You even there's very famous two girls, they have the same body. You know them? They were born, it happens sometimes, that they have two different heads and they have the same body. And they married two different guys. Okay, now close your eyes. Read the book. Yeah, so yeah. I know, you start getting, yeah. So, of course, Narayan is, what do you call it, expansion, incarnation, or something of Krishna. Krishna expands as Balaram. Balaram expands as all the deities in Vaikuntha and Lila avatars and so forth and so on. So Nara and Narayan are kind of way down here in terms of like the chain of expansions and stuff, right? Yeah. So, to say that Krishna is an incarnation of Narayan is, well, yeah, but kind of, okay, here's the plate, hand it to me, okay, yeah. And so we're that's the whole point of Achinta Bheda Tattva, right? Yeah, you understand what does that mean? The terms, each term, Achinta. What does Achinta mean?
Achinta is inconceivable.
Okay, which means you can't conceive it. Okay, yeah.
Beta is oneness.
Okay.
And Abeta is.
I think beta is difference.
Or difference. And
beta is difference.
Non-difference.
Yeah, simultaneously different, non-different. Yeah, and that is one of the most fundamental, questions about reality, about everything, about the individual and the group, the individual and the self. One of the most fundamental things trying to work out: social responsibility, personal freedom. Yeah. Okay. So, what is Shankaracharya's idea about this? He doesn't say Chinta Beta Beta Tattva.
For him, it's all a beta.
Huh?
All a beta.
Yeah,
non-different.
Advaita. What does Dvaita mean?
Yeah, two.
It's English, yeah. So his is Advaita. Non-dualism. But he has to use the word dualism to express what he's talking about. Like you say, I am an atheist. Or you're a theist? No, I'm an atheist. Yeah, you're a theist. Because you can't express it, Yeah. Sartre said, I am a French guy. I am nothing's nothing. Okay. I am nothing's nothing. Then after that we have Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, and they have, I don't know which applies exactly, but Vashishtadvaita, Shuddhadvaita, Dvaita. And then in Christianity, it's also a big topic. Of course, philosophy in Christianity is kind of like one little localized group in the Eastern Mediterranean, basically running around with different groups and different stuff happening, and sometimes interacting with the Roman Empire. But the Roman Empire was more pragmatic. Okay, what's going on here? And the Greeks a little more. So, but even amongst them, we've mentioned this before. And when they had one of their big conferences to try and decide whether we should have female gurus or all this kind of stuff, the Council of Nicaea, the Pope trying to get everybody together to try and work on some basic ideas and stuff. So in one place in their scriptures that were coming down through different sources, I think Jesus says, I and the Father are one. Yeah. And so the Greek says homoouklei. That's one. Homoouklei. I and the Father are homoouklei. Okay? Yeah. Now there's another way of saying it, which is homoounkleus. Yeah, homoounkleus. And one way it means that I and the Father are the same person. There's no difference in that sense. We are the same person. Okay? And the other one means that I and the Father are of the same quality. Okay? Yeah, so, so they're having big fights over this in the position of Jesus. Then finally they came to the conclusion, okay, so many arguments, so many good ideas, everything else, but we're not going to change the Holy Scriptures one iota. Don't change Prabhupada's books, even, putting in an apostrophe in there. Yeah, same argument, So homoouklei, that's iota, right, in Greek. So we're not going to change it, whether homoounkleus appears to be more correct or not, we're just not going to change it one iota. So you see that in English, do not change what I've written one iota. That's where it comes from. So that was, and I don't know which they settled on. Yeah. So your question is, are Nara Narayan Rishi, what'd you ask specifically? Now we're getting down to every iota here.
Yeah. Are Nara and Narayan Rishi one singular entity?
No. As far as I know, they're Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva. And again, it's different things you've heard and stuff.
Yeah, in the presentation, Maharaj, he was showing many examples, and it seemed that he was showing both.
Yeah.
That often they were referred to in the singular.
Yeah, that's
but
what
often
my
in
experience
the
has been
dual.
too. And again, the problem is that it's appearing over different yugas, different times like that. Is the mayor of the primate city of a county in California also the head of the board of supervisors for the county? Well, in San Francisco, yes, but in Sacramento, no. Yeah. So it depends which. Our Jai and Vijay, who are they?
Those are the
No, sorry. Who are Ravana and Kumbhakarna? Or Hiranyakasipu and Hiranyaksha? They are Jai and Vijay, right? Yeah. But only in this particular appearance. And this is directly in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Normally, they are just two demons who take those roles. But this time, they were, the Jai and Vijay. Yeah. This sounds like reality, doesn't it? Yeah.
So are you saying that sometimes the Lord is Nara and Narayan, and then sometimes he's not?
What I'm saying is, I think Maharaj is saying that it's presented different ways, and that's one time. For example, sometimes Varaha is white, sometimes Varaha is red. Yeah. And the Buddha being mentioned in the list of incarnations in the second canto is not the Buddha in this yuga, in this Divya Yuga, a different Buddha. Yeah, but he's same kind of role. Yeah.
So in other times, it's a different jiva, like for the Buddha. So like the Buddha, for example,
yeah.
Sometimes it's Krishna, but sometimes it's a jiva.
I don't know. But the case is there, it's talking about a pastime about Buddha came and killed those demons who were flying to different planets and causing problems on airplanes given to them by the demon Maya. And Prabhupada, this is a different Buddha, this is Buddha in a different universe. Yeah. For example, like Hamlet, right? Hamlet, and you see it being performed. It's basically too long to really perform all, the whole thing. It's really just too big of a play, So you'll see at different times, and they've eliminated different stuff, and so on, And there are even like different ways it was written in the original format like that. So it's also the Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is these stories, anthologies, but different times, different places, different circumstances. They're put together in different ways. Yeah. So what is the absolute truth? Yes, sir.
Guru Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm just wondering if this passage in Bhagavatam might be related to Narayan. Would it be okay if I read it?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. All right, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 9. In the fourth incarnation, the Lord became Nara and Narayan, the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma.
Yeah.
And thus he undertook severe and exemplary penances to control the senses.
There's nothing in the purport.
Oh, there is a purport, yeah. As King Rishabh advised his sons, tapasya, or voluntary acceptance or of penance for realization of the transcendence, is the only duty of the human being. It was done so by the Lord himself and in an exemplary manner to teach us. The Lord is very kind to the forgetful souls. He therefore comes himself and leaves behind necessary instructions and also sends his good sons as representatives to call all the conditioned souls back to Godhead. Recently, within the memory of everyone, Lord Chaitanya also appeared for the same purpose, to show special favor to the fallen souls of this age of iron industry. The incarnation of Narayan is worshipped still at Badri Narayan on the range of the Himalayas.
Yeah. So Krishna has incarnated as Gaurnatai. You see, yeah, how you can stay it. Yeah, when Krishna incarnates, he comes with Balaram. So Krishna incarnated as Nara and Narayan. Yeah. Yeah, Krishna means his associates, his expansions, his paraphernalia. Yeah. Okay, let's go on. Let's actually discuss the purport in the verse today. Let's do something novel, okay? Okay. So today's verse is talking about after Arjuna, considering four pages of Bhaktivedanta purports, and it was actually remembering the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, and then Prabhupada says, that the verse, then Sutta Goswami says the result was that being absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord. So we have Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam. Yeah. So does it say Smaranam here? What's the actual Sanskrit? Even Chintayantaha. Yeah. So his mind was absorbed in thinking about this. Yeah. Okay. Which were imparted in the intimacy of great friendship. Okay. And in thinking of his lotus feet. So two things simultaneously. Thinking of his lotus feet, of course, means what? Like it's very humble, great humility and respect and feeling of protection, so on. So he tells how he's thinking of these instructions in the Bhagavad Gita, and then his mind becomes pacified and free from all material contaminations. Yeah. So he can remember all these pastimes, all these things that are happening, right? And one after another he's recalling all of them, which involve different people. But the thing is, they're tinged with materialism, which then makes physical separation and physical limitation on personal relationships possible. And then there's material anxiety. Lord Kapila, he gives all these explanations of Sankhya Yoga to Mother Devahuti. She's asking very elevated questions, everything else, But then, at the end, he says, Bamini, Mommy, I'm just your little boy. Going, hey. You do this too. Giving instructions to your mother all about philosophy, and she's asking questions. You say, but Mommy, I'm a little kid, Yeah. And so those feelings and everything else, in this case, it's completely appropriate because he is, right? God. So those maternal feelings in this case are completely valid. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, Krishna is the absolute truth, and thinking about different things like that is all effective. So in this case, he wasn't recommending that she focus completely on the instructions, but he was focusing on the bodily relationship that they developed, like this and that. But he was saying, but keep it in proportion with the philosophy, right? Otherwise, it will start to become materially contaminated, and you'll start to think of me as your son in terms of physical activities and all material stuff like that. But if you always keep the Sankhya in the background, then you'll be able to understand, no, he's not that kind of son. I'm not that kind of mother, right? Yeah. We were discussing, I think it was Rompa Mars pointing out, Prabhupada said the two classes of people in this movement most likely to fall down are, it was Saranga? Yeah, Saranga was using this. Huh? The personal servant of the spiritual master and the pujari, right? Personal servant of the spiritual master and the pujari. Because in both both situations, there's a bodily concept of life, right? But Guru Dev, sannyasi, he's this body, act like, this and that. And start to, think in terms, it's very easy then to think in terms of material relationships, forgetfulness, anger, physical inabilities, lack of hearing. Oh, Prabhupada cannot hear very well. He can't understand. Yeah. And the other one, of course, is that there's a deity. I know the deities, and so it's, and he says to avoid this, you keep good association and follow the rules and regulations in the etiquette. So when you come on, you make sure that you're clean. You make sure you're say some prayers before you come on, to put yourself in the proper consciousness, right? Otherwise, there's a whole thing when you enter in the altar, right? There's an entire puja that you're supposed to do. It takes about, I don't know, if you're doing it quickly, maybe 7 minutes, drawing these lines and doing all this stuff and saying prayers. And then you can go on the altar. Right? Otherwise, you go someplace else. You don't go on the altar. Yeah. And so I think Prabhupada's recommendation, he said, you just simply touch your hands to your forehead and say my name, and I will take care of it. Yeah. And so, otherwise you have this experience. Maybe you're being a pujari, you're not going on the altar. You're just going on, and there's statues there, and some stuff, and yeah. But if you're proper consciousness when you go on, then you feel Krishna's presence. If you're a Brahmin, you feel he's absolute, unlimited, this kind of stuff. If you're a Goswami, male or female, then you can actually start experiencing, it's not only sat, but chit, looking at Krishna and, frightening. Yeah. Then, Ananda is, Krishna personally, there, yeah. So of course, you're going to have a different relationship with the material world. William Blake, a famous English poet, he was a really mystical guy, interesting guy. One of his poems was about when falling souls take to blazing light, right? When you turn the lights on here, we turn the lights on during japa, so we can see more, right? When you turn the lights back on, you can't see as much. You become, blinded by the material, physical reality, and it tends to eliminate your mental reality. Yeah. So we're running around, maybe grabbing after physical reality all the time, and we don't see the subtle reality in things, the subtle aspect. Yeah. And so when we go on the altar, we just yeah. So Arjuna, right? Arjuna he's remembering the prayers in great friendship, with a very humble, feeling protected attitude, and that's removing the material color, the material contamination in his experiences. And then Prabhupada says, in that case, then all these experiences of separation are actually the source of great impetus and great bliss. And in Nectar of Devotion, it talks about, yoga and what's the other one, meeting and separation, all these terms and details about how it works, Radha and Krishna meet, and they're going to be able to pass the night together, right? But then they're just thinking about how the dawn is coming, and that, of course, creates, more intensity for every moment, thinking that it's not going to last, right? So even the spiritual world, all these things, they're all increasing our concentration, the present moment, the bhava, and, experimenting. So any questions or comments about Arjuna's condition? Any experiences of this on Sankirtan? Oh my God, the Christmas marathon's going to be over just in 4 more days. Ever that experience? Yeah, when this is coming to an end. I remember one time we went out. It was Christmas Eve, right? And everybody got out. So we were out in the van, maybe like 6 of us piled in the van, and we were going here and there and here and there. And it was just, everything was closing down more and more, all the stores and then all the restaurants until we couldn't just find any place, any place at all to go, We had people, we had Santa Claus suits, well, come on, last moment, whatever, Then as we were kind of heading back, there was one big Christmas tree lot, and they started to burn the Christmas trees. So it was like really spooky, like Christmas was over and the Christmas trees were burning. It was like the end of this whole absorbed consciousness. And then it was the Christmas marathon. Everybody was out. We had maybe 25, this Berkeley Temple, maybe 25 full-time Sankirtan devotees, men, maybe 11 women. Every day out, all over the Bay Area, everything else. And then for the marathon, it would go on, and just cooking and delivering stuff, and on and on, And so then, when it was coming to an end, everybody was realizing, my God, it's because it was a whole absorption and everything else. Yeah. So these things are happening. Okay. Yes.
Okay, so you talked about doing certain prayers before you go on the altar.
Yeah.
To kind of get in the right consciousness.
Yeah.
Do you have recommendations for certain prayers or things to do before Sankirtan?
I heard Prabhupada told Tipurari Swami, what is it, Udilo Aruna? He could sing, that was the one, yeah. It's a very nice song. It's a Arunadaya Kirtan. Udilo Aruna Pura Babage Dwijamani Gora Manejage. And it describes, it says, Lord Chaitanya, the jewel of the twice-born, woke up when the first rays of the sun are starting to come, and calling all of his devotees with him, he went from town to town, and it's describing the scene and playing the drums and everything else, and what he was preaching to them and stuff, And so it's a nice bhava, nice perspective, And it's the whole thing is not so much to learn something, but to develop the attitude. Like we sing the Garbhastika, right? But before the kirtan, so hopefully that's putting us in the right attitude. Who are Radha? Who are Krishna? Who are we? Who's Guru? And then we can have a kirtan, in that morning attitude. Yeah. Udilo, Udilo. That's the first word. Yeah. Udilo Oruno. I think this was it. Okay, then we were also, yesterday we weren't able to finish the 4 pages. It's a very long purport. What's the longest purport in Prabhupada's books, That's pretty long, yeah, 9 processes. But there's one in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that is 12 pages long. It's a 12-page long purport. It's like, you have to give class. Prabhu, it's your turn to class. Can you give class in this verse here? Like, I know. Kind of fall off of the asasan afterward. Yeah. And what it is, it's like all the purports are the same, and it's repeating stuff. He did so many books, but they're all repetitive. But no, that purport, remembering it, is it's a summary study of Sanatana Goswami's refutation of Shankaracharya's explanation of 1 or 2, 3 verses of the Vedanta Sutra, where Shankaracharya tries to prove that the bodies of Mahavishnu and everybody else are material, like that. Huh? This is in the Vedanta Sutra. Yeah. Well, this is somebody else, higher, yeah. Anyway, so it can be, it should be, it probably will be at some point printed as a separate little booklet. for specific topics like that. And so many purports are, probably he says it, print them separately. We always take Vishnudeva's instructions on Varna Ashram, two purports, put them in a Word file, edit them a little bit, and they're just perfect for classes on political science and sociology and stuff. Just perfect, he just, presents everything just so nicely. So there's, anyway, that purport, the one yesterday, I think in the first part, the Prabhupada's talking about kind of the position of Bhagavad Gita, right? That Bhagavad Gita is useful in all times, all places, and all circumstances. Okay. And it's not just that, for Arjuna at that time. Is the same true of the Bible? A lot of us leaving. Leaving like that. They're going to discuss the Bible now. Yeah. But Prabhupada says no. Yeah. Any more information about that?
Some of the essential instructions.
Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and all thy soul. Yeah.
Like the essential instructions of the relationship of that we should have with the Lord and so on. They seem to be
and other people.
Yes, and then there's there's the relative statement which they kind of hammer on everybody, which is Christ is the only way, the truth, the light. That He's the only way, but
some ideas about Guru and God.
Yeah. So maybe they're accepting the detail rather than the principle that one has to take shelter of the representative.
Yeah. There's one purport where, remember, Prabhupada says that the Quran and the Bible are both, in Vedic scriptures, because they talk about the supremacy of the Lord. Any scripture which declares the supremacy of the Lord is scripture and venerable. But he says they're spoken for a certain kind of people at a certain time. So they're not on the same level. They're temporary things done at a certain time, a certain place. I think even some of Bhakti-Vinod Thakur's books, right? He wrote them for a certain time, a certain people, and everything else, and adjusted it in terms of what the people could understand. Hey, I got a really good book here about Bhakti Yoga. I love yogurt. Okay, well, this is all about Bhakti yogurt, Bob. That actually is a true story. Then Bob bought the book, because he likes yogurt, right? So, is that true? Is it all about Bhakti yogurt? Maybe. So the same way, then, if you read the Bible in the Old Testament, my God, it's a really, difficult situation to get anything across to these people. Muhammad was saying, don't have sex with your mother. Okay. He also said, don't murder your newborn girl babies. Right, the wife gives birth to a baby, it's a girl, they just stick it out in the sand and smother it. Yeah, right? In India they do this, and they smother in the sand? No. They drown them in milk. I guess it's very low class, almost some uncivilized bestial people. Because why raise up girls, right? Guys, yeah. And even in Canada, they stopped allowing people to have the echo sounding of the embryo, because if it was a girl, they were doing abortions. Again, you see, very low class people who need a very simple scripture which talks about their world, and that kind of thing like that. So Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada was saying, is it's on a different level. I mean, how many classical Sanskrit literatures are known in the world? Huh? There's a thing called the Catalogus Catalogorum. It started about maybe 20 years ago now, and all these Indologists and everything else got together, and it's a bibliography of all known ancient Sanskrit texts. This is about medicine, this is about mathematics, this is about political science, this is a story about this, this is, they have an index of all these things, where it's in the Maharaja of Mysore's library, in the Getty collection in Los Angeles, and it's called the Catalogus Catalogorium. And I think in different universities take the responsibility of maintaining it, like maybe 3 years, 5 years, and it's going around. So it's increased, of course, but a few years ago it had over, I think it was over 140,000 known ancient Sanskrit texts, right? Yeah. And this is compared to Arabic or Chinese or other languages, it's just big, big level, And then the scholars say they deal with these subjects in such prolixity that it'd take a lifetime to even understand one of them, some of the systems of mathematics and all these kind of things. And then the guy who was talking about it, his name, David Hart, big professor, he says, and out of all these, he said, and Sanskrit has its great literatures. He said, without a doubt, Panini is the greatest pre-modern grammarian who ever existed. And what is it? The dramas about Shakuntala, or other one, they rate with the Iliad and the Odyssey and just like that. And he said, in my opinion, the Bhagavad Purana is the greatest devotional text anywhere in the world, possibly equaled by a few other texts in South India, like that. But he puts the Bhagavatam, up there. It was from the University of California. So, out of all these books, out of one book, how many verses in the Mahabharata? 100,000. Yeah, it's the biggest book in the world. Yeah, okay. And out of that, how much is the Bhagavad Gita? 10,000? 1,700 verses. Yeah, and when you're trying to establish a point in Vedic culture, you've got to establish it on the basis of 3 things: Prestone Trayan, Vedanta Sutra, Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita. So you begin to realize, and then Madhvacharya, everybody is just, this is kind of, even Mayavadi is everybody else, pretty much. It's almost very universal that everybody accepts that, hey, if these guys are arguing on the basis of Bhagavad Gita, and whatever, that's authoritative. We can't get around arguments on the basis of the Bhagavad Gita. So it's, amongst all the Vedic literatures, Prabhupada is saying it puts everything together. You see, Krishna talks about this, Krishna talks about that, Krishna talks about this, karma, yoga, jnana, just everything. Yeah? And these are universal. You find the same thing under different names in Christianity and everybody else. Yeah? And so 700 verses, Krishna puts it together, right? Yeah. And then the what is it? Something else. Okay. Anyway, so that's kind of what Prabhupada's talking about. It's useful in all times, all places, all circumstances. It applies to any country, anything else. And not only does it relieve your mental problems, but he also says it gives you practical information about how to go ahead with the actual practical implementation of stuff, how to deal with things. Yeah. So it's the point there. It was kind of yesterday's topic. I think he's reaching for the microphone. Yeah. He's trying to form his thoughts.
I have one question.
What is the duty of a man at the time of death? Okay. I have one question. Well, I have a Sunday feast. I have a question. What is the duty of a man at the time of death?
So it's kind of like combined with the end of the purport of 115.28 and the middle of the purport of 115.27. Okay. So at the end of the purport of 115.28, let's see here. Yes. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada says, feelings of separation are also sources of transcendental bliss. No, wait, that's not it. It's the one where it's at the very, very bottom.
That's the bottom.
Oh, is that? Maybe it's the end of 27. Anyway, they're never no, this is it. And they are never comparable to contaminated material feelings of separation. So, I was thinking about that, and then I know.
Yeah, no, it's good.
And then I was thinking about right here in 27 where Srila Prabhupada says, out of the 5 subjects, Supreme Lord, the living entity, nature, and time and space are eternal, but the living entity, nature, and time are under the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is absolutely and completely independent of any other control. And the one that wasn't listed was the field of activities, right? The one was listed earlier was the field of activities. Let me see where it's
Karma.
Karma, yeah. Oh, here we go, yeah. 1, the Supreme Lord. 2, the living being. 3, nature. 4 is time and space. And 5 is the process of activity.
Yeah.
Right? And which is karma, right? And so I was just curious because then activities of living being, no, sorry, it's right here. The difference between the two, no. Oh, sorry, we're way down in here. I'm trying to keep together here. Okay. Here's it. The Supreme Lord is controlling material. Material activity
Can you imagine if you're trying to ask this question to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and he's sitting there, or can you remember your name?
Yeah.
When you see him preaching sometimes, it's like he's tearing the skin off the person's face. He's just like, he's just like, so, I've already explained that. It's like, so, again, Prabhupada, I think Prabhupada said, my spiritual master would not have accepted any of you as disciples. Yeah, my experiences too is like, But that, that's what, Prabhupada, he had a certain job to do, and wow, even Ram took help from monkeys. Monkeys, I can use these Americans, one's 2 steps above monkeys. Yeah.
That's right.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so I found it. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. But it can be rectified by transferal to the spiritual quality, right? So...
karma.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It can be rectified by transferal into the spiritual quality.
Uh-huh.
And then I was thinking, in comparison to, they're never comparable to contaminated material feelings of separation.
Yeah.
And so my question was about if you have material feelings of separation from...
Mahaprasadam.
Okay, I always have that.
Yeah.
But like from a devotee,
Yeah.
then is that considered contaminated anymore because of the transferal process where the devotee is actually becoming purified and spiritual?
Yeah. I mean, boy, Prabhupada says, he's in preface to Introduction to Nectar of Devotion, he's talking about what is bhakti. And he says, one man says, I have so much bhakti for the demigods. I have so much bhakti for my wife, Then Prabhupada says, this is not bhakti, this is lust. Yeah. And so, that's so in marriage relationship, you can have, partners can have material attachment for each other, which is, of course, tends with personal gratification. I love you because it gratifies me, even though sacrifice for you. Mother sacrificing for her children, right, makes her feel good, But it's for her, really, it's indirect, So, but that's the whole point, that karma of relationships and feelings and stuff can be connected up to Krishna. And then a husband can be, feeling, feelings towards his wife and children and family in terms of how they can be engaged in serving the deities and the household deities and what can be done, this kind of consciousness, and how she can do things, in her nature that he can't do, but he can help her by doing this. And so, how the masculine and feminine relationship fit together, right? Masculine and feminine relationships are within this body, they're in the demigods, they're in Vaikuntha, and they're also in Radha and Krishna. The husband and wife are fighting, Radha and Krishna are fighting. That's eternal. Yeah. So husband and wife fighting, it's just, you can start seeing how, you start realizing I know of couples who married, devotees who married for quite some time, and they're fighting still, but they're talking about how it's become so much fun, as part of the marriage and the fighting and stuff, and talking about stuff, and and they're seeing it, and they're going to see the reflection of how, this is, what it's like in reality. Radha and Krishna are always carrying on these arguments and stuff like that. And sometimes, anyway, mixed together. But so the karma, then can be connected. And so the same way, the feelings of separation from Krishna, because, okay, the battle's over, and Kunti says, we're not going to be, seeing you anymore, because there's no problems. So, hey, I want some problems. Bring on some problems here, fellas, because that's when we see Krishna, right? And so that's Arjuna, the same thing maybe. Everything's peaceful now, the government's going on, everything's prosperous, if things are flowing and everything else, and then they not feeling the intensity of their connection to Krishna they used to feel. But now that he's departing and everything else, wow, it's like, it's waking us up. Yeah. And that's eternal, because then, it's like, we know that that's going to make us get off of this bodily concept, and get back to our job, which is going to different universes and helping Krishna, the next universe, right? I guess it'll be the same thing again. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, here it is. Maybe the ultimate Spanish, La Pregunta. No, we can do two more. Okay, we have time. Yep.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
German. We have 4 minutes.
We were talking about, I have 2 questions. We were talking about all the Vedic literatures. So then I always wonder, why is Mahabharata, or like the Itihasas, not considered Puranas? Purana means history, and Itihasa also
Purana means
history?
old,
Ancient, like old.
ancient.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Itihasa means,
History, right? Yeah.
it seemed like the same.
Because I think the Itihasas, Ramayana and Mahabharata, they are specific historical stories about when something had happened. And the Puranas are collections, anthologies of different things to explain some points or something like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And it's like, the Puranas, the Itihasas are kind of, this is story, it's not so obvious about what the philosophical perspective behind them is. But the Puranas, the stories are being picked out usually just to illustrate specific illustrations.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, and then last one.
That's my speculation.
Okay, we talked about the 3 main...
Sources of evidence.
Right. And so...
Prestone, Tryon, Prestone, yeah. Preston, Tryon, yeah.
And then, so it's like Prabhupada gave us the essence of the Vedic literature and the Vedic teachings.
Yeah.
He gave us the Bhagavad Gita, fully explained. Vedanta Sutra, we have Bhagavatam. And then the Upanishads, he gave Isha Upanishad.
Yeah.
And also many sources in his purports.
Yeah.
But it seems like he didn't cover the Upanishads as much.
No.
Is there a particular reason, or did he feel like it was not necessary? Or?
He didn't even cover Ramayana and Mahabharata and so on. I mean, he was trying to do the focus on the Bhagavatam, and he was also thinking, I may not even be able to do this, so he published 1 book in 2 volumes, the Krishna book. And he directly says, Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying he's old, he can die at any time, I'm facing the same thing, and therefore I have published this book, Krishna, summary study of the 10th canto, which is the essence of the Bhagavatam and all the Vedas. And in the end of the Krishna book, it says, simply by hearing and repeating this one, and contemplating this 1 book, Krishna, one is sure to be transferred to the spiritual world. Yeah. Jai. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
Mine was just a comment in relation to Jai Hari's question, that discussion from 11:29:21.
11:29:21.
Lord Krishna instructing Uddhava in Bhakti Yoga.
Oh, okay.
It's mentioned here that, O Uddhava, greatest of saints, after Krishna established the process of Bhakti Yoga and so on, how to see him in the heart, or in the heart of all living beings and so on, then he says, O Uddhava, greatest of saints, in a dangerous situation an ordinary person cries, becomes fearful and laments, although such useless emotions do not change the situation. But activities offered to me without personal motivation, even if they are externally useless, amount to the actual process of religion. And then he goes on and says that there's a famous verse that this is the supreme intelligence of the intelligent and cleverness of the most clever, to use the temporary and unreal to achieve me, the eternal reality. They use the temporary and unreal to achieve Krishna, the eternal reality. So it seems...
Duryodhana invited Krishna for lunch, right? But he went to Uddhava's house, and Uddhava was serving him bananas. That was the story, right? But he was giving him the peels rather than the bananas because he was so in ecstasy. So what he was giving him was useless, right? But Krishna was taking the peels. Maybe the wife or somebody. Yeah, Midura's wife. Okay, yeah. But that's an example. I was thinking of somebody offering something which apparently is useless, right? Yeah. Yeah. Because it that becomes a symbol, right, of feeling an affection and so on. Confirmation. All right. Okay. So that basically all we were supposed to talk about today was the 5 elements in the Bhagavad Gita: the Supreme Lord, the Jiva, time, Prakriti, and Karma. And the first 4 are eternal. Yeah. Jiva and Krishna, Shishivanila Madhava Ki Da. The Jiva and the Krishna is pretty obvious, they're eternal. Prakriti is not actually kind of eternal, understanding it. When the material world ceases to exist, when Prakriti, it doesn't just dissolve and go away. It doesn't, not existing. It's existing with Mahavishnu eternally, but then it's called Pradhan. Like, give the example, like this is Pradhan. Okay, it's there, non-manifest. And then Mahavishnu expands as, Shirodakshay Vishnu. Ooh, hello, how are you? I'm fine, how are you? That's like, okay, it's like, if you know what's underneath the curtain. Then he enters into the Pradhan, in the Paramatma, and hello. There is prasadam this morning, right? Yeah, there is prasadam. Okay, yeah. Shut up. Okay. Yeah. So then it becomes prakriti, so it's like, and it's eternal in that sense that, it always exists. It's there with Mahavishnu in non-manifest form. And then time is according to Kapila, time is the external manifestation of the Paramatma. So we see time. Well, time is temporary. You can't say that because that's like water. It's like water is wet. It's like is water wet? It's like, is water wet? Yeah, it is wet. So you can't say is time temporary? Is time temporary? Time is like, So the same way, it's the it's the external manifestation of the Paramatma. And therefore, it's full of all this complicated variegatedness and everything else. And if you approach it like a German, then you start seeing it, very mechanistically. And time goes in one direction. Every section is just the size, and there are no branches. It's like German view of time. But if you go to Samoa or Fiji or something, they have a whole different view of time, like that. And of course, grammar includes time. And so on. So it's temporary, in the sense that it's time for lunch. Well, it's time for lunch. I guess that's an eternal thing too, right? It's going on forever, right? Lunchtime will always be there eternally. Okay, maybe we'll find something. Okay, is Houston eternal? There we go. Okay, how long do you think Houston will last? 100 years, 500 years? Yeah. Rome. I mean, there's so many cities archaeologically they have to dig the names up somehow or other. After hundreds of years of doing archaeology, they find the name and they dig it up and they discover there was a pretty big city and stuff, right? But now it's just what to speak of the names that are forgotten. So okay, so some things are temporary, but time, I guess, in itself is eternal. Yeah. Okay, it's interesting. And so finally in karma, again, Prabhupada's saying that comes and goes, is gone forever. Prabhupada says at the time of death, they erase your face. Right? Are you ready for that? Yeah? You're not attached to your face? No. Prabhupada says they erase your face and it will never exist again. When I read that, I was kind of like, my God. I mean, like, you know, you look in the mirror, like Sarva and myself, you look in the mirror and it's, oh, it's me, you know. Like, yeah, but still it's me, it's my face, you know. And erasing it and something coming back, okay, but this Prabhupada's thinking, no, it's just never exist ever again. Yeah.
I thought it also said that the material creation is recreated as it was before.
Yeah, in the sense that it goes on, is wherever it was stopped, it starts again. Yeah, it started up again. Okay, started up, put everybody back in place. Let's go. Yeah, but at the same time too, yes, some things are, you know, some aspects of karma and this and that. You know, it's like scheduled incarnations with specific functions. Yeah. So that's what we're going to discuss today. And then Sunday morning is Bhakti Siddhanta's class. Sunday noon is Bhakti Siddhanta's class. And Sunday evening I'm supposed to do Bhagavad Gita. So it's very nice, you know, for the Christmas marathon, all this Bhagavad Gita stuff. You know, devotee, went to Argentina, and there was a Christmas marathon, and they were talking about Maharaj, give shorter classes, like this and that. We're having a big feast, opulent feast, and that's what motivates the devotees, is opulent feast, yeah, like that. You know, but their Sankirtan leader is coming back, and he said, Maharaj, he said, being here, when I go out, listening to your classes in the morning, then I go out and meet people, and I just feel so, like, relaxed and confident, you know, what I'm doing is, like, totally reasonable, everything else. And if I meet somebody, some questions I can't answer, that stuff, I feel like just bring them back and you can talk to them and stuff, you know. So yeah, you know, it was nice, you know, good classes and stuff, right? Not just good prasad, like that. Yeah, these 25-course feasts and the devotees go out and start vomiting and stuff. I mean, it's just like crazy mode of passion. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Back home, back to Hoghead. Okay. Huh? What kind of questions? Personal questions? Well, yeah, I'm trying to, whatever, maybe just to hearing it. It was a lot of fun at the motor vehicles place yesterday. I went, I'm trying to get your license and you fly. You have to go back and get it certified when you say you are. Some I passed for, but I went in, I tried to look it all out, see your call and contact and everything else, and then the appointment we went over, and we went in and just read the bill box and stuff. It was pretty good, man. And I knew it was some problems and stuff, but when we get there, we got there, we said, we have to have two IDs, you only have one residency. She looked it all out, you know. There's a whole austerity thing without him, I couldn't have done it, but, you know, I've done my work too. So it was a real 2 hours of austerity and everything else. And realized when I came out, now I'm self-realized. I know who I am. I am so-and-so, number 533027910. So anyway, yeah, but without the hearing aids, it would have been possible. Why, what? No. Yeah, your address. I have my address. Okay. What's your comment, question, complaint?
Thinking about
Oh my gosh, okay. As soon as that first word comes, I'm thinking about it.
a while ago, we were in class and we talked about Bhagavad Gita. That as a basic text, it brings you up to a certain level.
Yeah.
And I think you're saying something about Hanumat.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I have two questions for this. Okay, one, okay, in Bhagavad Gita, the process of bhakti is referred to by many different terms. It's also karma yoga,
Yeah.
I think Buddha yoga is also. So
Yoga.
yoga, right? So why is it not just called bhakti? What's trying to be indicated by using these other words? Why is it not just called bhakti?
Even in the modern world, Rama same way Prabhupada, one of his disciples, is convinced to go ahead and get PhDs and write. But that's the thing that's respected now. Intellectuals are respected to be scientists. Sometimes there's some circumstance. So when Arjuna was there, the word yoga, now yoga in American is certain stuff. I know, something for girls, and I think for others. So at the time when he was talking about it, yoga, yoga was a hot topic, but it was tied in especially in the, mystical austerities and this kind of stuff. But also it had this tendency to be talking about, something more than fat reducing yoga. So yes, I understand. It's just a time place and circumstance. But I don't. I don't hear this says bhakti yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. But he says bhakti. Yeah, bhakti yogena. Yeah, that which means, well, not by bhakti yoga, but by yoga, bhakti yoga. Yeah, bhakti many times, it's kind of like, it's like the adjective. It's not like bhakti yoga, it's the thing, it's more like yoga as a bhakti thing. Yeah.
I've heard this in different stages of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhakti is there through all of them,
Yeah.
but it depends on the purity.
Yeah.
When it's really emphasized that what is the pure, it's stated manmana manamata maya. That's Bhakti Yoga. The other may be Bhakti, but different degrees of purity.
A karate guy I was studying, he was talking about different techniques and stuff, and he said that none of these things work without determination. Yeah. What you're doing is, in the end, behind the whole thing is determination, dedication, faith, whatever, devotion. So it becomes the essence of everything is love. Yeah. You get into so many things, people describing how much they work and everything else. What is it? Fanaticism, passion, exhibitionism. I was reading the final poem. So 245, right? Okay, some game, 245. Pistol with one bullet. That's it, right? Okay. Here it is. It's like, if I get killed, you better buy the book. You buy the book. You blow your brains out, you buy the book.
And then, last question.
Man, bringing flowers. Thank you. Oh, wow. Interesting. Kind of bitter. Right? Kind of bitter.
Sometimes these supplements special.
I know.
It has flowers everybody can smell.
Gardenias is one of the flowers.
Yeah, the gardenias.
Yeah.
Marigolds kind of smell.
I think she's just sweet from the pretty cat smell, but it's not a very nice smell.
It almost smells like a leaf that has a flower.
And you get narcissus and kind of stuff like that. Yeah, bachelor button. The little you go to Hawaii, it's like that. Everything smells.
I'll say this is the last question. Okay. Like, are you saying Bhagavad Gita, it brings you to the level of Paramatma? Is this what you're...
And that's what I mean, the Prabhupada says, But yeah, Bhagavad